Charles Gusky, nephew of Alma Primus Bender, who is celebrating her 90th birthday tomorrow. But today we are going to record for future generations comments about her life in the 1900s. Alma Primus Bender, our aunt who now lives in Toledo, Ohio. I'm going to have her tell you a little bit about her early life and present time and give us some history of her time spent here on Earth. And Alma,
Yes.
where were you born?
I was born in Ottoville, Ohio, in April the 22nd, 1900. About 5.5 miles from a town. We had to go to our country school, our one-room schoolhouse. And at that time, there were 4 in our family going there. I was the 8th of the 11 children. And I don't recall too much of my early childhood, but we had to make our own entertainment. And we would, to entertain, we'd start the house and take a somerset out to the fence and see who could beat one another. And we had to make our own fun because the neighbors weren't close. And that's when I learned to play cards, I guess. About the first thing I ever learned was how to play cards, because my dad was a card player. And we have any company, first thing you know, out come the card table. He said, "Alma, sit across from me." I was always his partner, so I had to be pretty sharp, or else he wouldn't want to play with me. And I guess to this day, that's one of my favorite pastimes. But I got such an early start, I should really have good card sense, but I don't know, sometimes it doesn't work out too well, even that.
Now, you lived on a farm just out...
Well, we lived on the farm until I was 11 years old. And then my oldest brother was going to be married, and he wanted a place to live. So at that point, they moved into town, to Ottoville, and he and his bride moved out there. And so my dad gave up farming, and he did odd jobs around the little town. We moved in and took a cow along, so Mother had things to do, and she loved to quilt, and so she would have her quilting to do, and he would occupy himself around the house, and he never was too fond of farming, I don't think. But
When I was small, I used to come and stay with your folks. And didn't your father work at the brickyard, do something with
yes,
bricks?
they had a brickyard there, and this short distance from our place, and he worked there for quite a number of years, and then he got interested in, working in a saloon there. He did little cleanup jobs and something to occupy his time. This little town, only about 500 people, so there wasn't much opportunity for job or making money, but we managed all right. They used to be in the German, so there was nothing ever went to go. We were very frugal people, and we still are, I guess.
You went to country school. You say there were 4 in your family at the same time?
4 of them in the family at the same time. And of course, I was the youngest of the family. After we left, when we moved, my brother next to me was 4 years younger, and he was ready to start school, so he wasn't there. And then I had a younger brother, Willie, who later became a priest, and my youngest brother died when he was about a year old. He never was a well baby. I don't recall much but playing with him in the leaves in the yard, and that's all I can remember now. I remember the funeral, that it was so cold, and we had to take a horse and buggy and drive these 4.5 miles, and my neighbors kept trying to keep my feet warm, but many winters I had frozen toes. It was a natural thing. You'd run outside in the snow to keep them from itching.
Yeah. Would you tell us about your father and your mother? Did you ever know where they met, and your mother's maiden name, what family she was from?
Yes, my mother was, their family name was Kortokrax, very unusual name. And she and her sister married brothers, and they lived close together, and the fathers got together and they got to be friends. They said, well, we should get together and have your boys meet my girls, which they did, and they both married them. They married these King girls. They left nothing up to chance in those days. And it worked out very well, although the one brother that married my aunt, he disappeared from the scene. I don't know, he walked off on it or something, and I never knew him. But my dad was a very faithful husband and father, and I guess well liked by everybody in the family.
Well,
Quite strict with us. I had to be to bed at 12 o'clock, date or no date.
Yeah. I I think it would be interesting if you would tell us your brothers and sisters' names, starting with the oldest one, and going on down where they, not necessarily where they lived and all, but their names and
Yes.
any little thing that you might want to say, like he was a priest or whatever.
Yes, well, my oldest brother was Theodore. We called him Tate. And the next in line was my sister Ida. The way the family worked out, we had a boy and a girl, 3 boys, 3 girls, 3 boys. And so following Ida, there was brother Frank, who settled in Wisconsin. He went there early, and he was just it was about his first job. He never was much of a worker, I understand. My aunt would tell how he would have his feet under the stove and lay there and thought he never would amount to anything. Well, he's the one that moved to Wisconsin, had a family of 16, and he watched his pennies very closely too, and he died a rather wealthy man when he was, I guess in his late 70s. Well, then following Tade was my brother Ed, and he was one of the smart ones and the good-looking ones of the family. And he had a nice college education. He wound up with a nice government job of designing bridges. He worked in Columbus, and he married a lady who had a small family, had 3 children, but she died after they were married. I don't know how many years, and then he remarried and married one of his classmates from Ottaville, and she is still living, but he had a stroke and was unable to speak or anything, but he took all kinds of therapy, and by the time he was able to communicate, he had a heart attack and died very suddenly he was all set to go to a Christmas party, all dressed up, and he fell over in his chair. Well, that was an awful blow. But then my brother Ott followed him, and he had no children. He just adopted a girl, and he lived to be the age of 94. Yeah, and he just died within a year from now. Well, following him was my sister Veronica, and she entered the convent right from high school, and she lived till she was only 22, I guess it was, and she died of TB. And just a year from the time my brother Ed, who died of TB in our family. And following Frona was my sister Rose, who was Chuck's and Irma's mother. And she stayed home and finished high school, and then she went to Flint, where my sister Ida lived, who was married a Willocker and lived in Flint. And she stayed with them until till she married and had her nice family. And I guess you got the history of her pretty well on your records, but it'd be a long story. She's one of my dearest ones of the family, and it was such a loss when she went. But you got to bear under those things. Well, and following Rose was me, and there's nothing very exciting about my life, I guess. It was just kind of normal. I married late in life. You want to hear that? At 39, never thought I'd raise a family, but I had 2 girls, and I lived to be 90, which is the occasion for this little recording here. And I even turned out to have a great grandchild, and I never thought I would even live to see my children grow up at that age, or even if I'd have one, but it worked out pretty well, I guess, and I'm real proud of my family. And what else would you like
now,
to...
when there have been many changes that you've seen in your lifetime, for example, transportation was by horse or walking. Now, think of all the things you've seen that you can recall your first seeing. For example, a car,
Yes.
or a train, or a streetcar.
Well, when we lived out on the farm, my sister Ida worked in Delphus, and with people who had, we considered wealthy, and they had a car where they'd bring her home uh, to visit us for, every couple of weeks, and they'd bring the car, and boy, we were so proud. They'd give us a ride in this car, and I hoped everybody in the neighborhood would see us in a car. But up to then, it was this horse and buggy, and I remember when a car had come along, and the horse and buggy come along, the man would get out to hold the horse while the car passed because they were afraid of him. And we'd go out and watch that, and sometimes they'd back him into the ditch in front of our place until the car went past. That's unusual to see an automobile, see. And of course, there's so many changes I couldn't enumerate all the things that happened. When I was young, it's different now that wasn't in existence then. I ca I have I could talk for a half hour on all the things that's happened, new things that's been invented and all. Of course, the records show those things too.
Tell us about the time when you were a little girl, and how old were you when Pressures came to the farm and they...
Well, we had a barn raising. The earliest thing I can remember was when I was 1904, which was when I was 4 years old. We had a small house. It was really a log house, but they put framework around it, so from the outside you couldn't tell until you opened some of the doors inside to see that it really was a big log house. But they built a big, big barn, and it was quite an event. And so with the barn raising in 1904, all the neighbors came in, and they had to bring in some keg of beer, naturally, like they do when they threshed and all. And I was right there with them with my tin cup in my hand, and so my dad filled it up for me and paid not much attention for that, so I had that, and I went on the porch and sat on the chair, and first thing you know, I fell off. So I was carried up to bed. That was the end of that story.
That was your first drunk, huh?
That's the first time, yeah. I won't say about the rest.
That sounds real interesting. Now, tell us whom you married and your children's name and the grandchildren.
Okay. Well, I met my future husband when I was about 29 years old, I guess, the first time, and but never thought I'd ever marry him because his friend who brought him said, "I'm going to bring you a date, but he's a woman hater." So, but he had a big car, a big Buick, and the kind you could almost have the card table in the back seat there. And we went out and had a nice swim out to the lake, and I hated dating him off and on, and kept going on and on. He got serious, and I guess he forgot about being a woman hater. So eventually, after about 10 years, knowing him about 10 years, we got married. He joined the church for me. I think that was one of the reasons I stalled. They say, how did it happen that you married him? I said, well, I guess he wore down my resistance. But it worked out very well. He had a lot of friends, golfing friends, and so we had a nice social life. And we'd get together and play poker, on Saturday nights. And I look back and I think, well, they don't do those things as much anymore. Those are the things that made life kind of interesting. And so we married about a year and a half, and I had my first daughter. I was still working in the office, but I gave that up when she came. And about a year and a half later, I had the second daughter. I had to work fast because I was getting pretty old. And so they both turned out very well. The older one is teaching school at the present time, that she went to college, and the other one also went to college, and she is working out the medical college and has a very responsible and a nice job out there. And Carolyn had a little boy. It took a lot of praying for him to come. She was married about 5 years before he arrived. And they wanted some more, but nothing happened, so they adopted a little girl named Beth. And when I'm speaking, she was just 19 years old, and she instead of finishing college, she decided she wanted to get married and she'd gone to school. Well, it's a different story after she's married. They kind of needed a little financial help, so she got to work, and she hopes to complete her college at some time or other, but at this point she's more interested in starting a family. And Steve is in college, his third year in college, and he isn't quite sure what he wants to be, I guess. And he isn't interested in girls at all. And Pat had two marriages that didn't work out very well. So she had two boys by her first husband, and they are doing real well. They both are college graduates, and then she remarried when they were about 10, 11 years old, and she had a nice little girl, and at this point she's 13 years old, going to Notre Dame Academy, and don't know what the future holds for her. But she, will probably turn out successful, same as the rest. Got a nice personality, and at this point she isn't too interested in school, but that's, I think, temporarily, hopefully.
I can see by the date on the film, this is the day before your 90th birthday, and is there a celebration planned for tomorrow?
Well, the girls decided about 6 months ago that when you're 90 years old, it calls for celebration. I couldn't talk them into waiting till I was 100. And I said, a lot of people get to be 90 years old. That's a common occurrence. It isn't for us. We're going to celebrate. We're going to warn relatives to keep the day open. So they proceeded to do that. And so we expect a nice turnout tomorrow with my daughter Carolyn. She's having an open house and issued about 50 invitations, and they've got very few regrets on that. So we hope to see a lot of our relatives. And of course, Chuck and Irma came away from Georgia for this, and I got two cousins came from Arizona, and but my Wisconsin family, which numbers about 200 descendants from the one family that had these 16 children, they can't come because there's a wedding going on today, the day before the celebration. So we're disappointed they can't be with us. But we have friends coming from all around the neighborhood, and some of my card players, my bridge players, and a cousin from Tiffin's coming, and another I should say nephew, and a couple of nieces from Adrian, and of course the Port Huron folks. We don't know if, I guess Marie and her husband and Kenny and his wife will come tomorrow. They'll be with us. Then we have a cousin from Virginia's coming up, and so we expect to have a real nice get-together.
Well, it sounds like you're going to have a grand celebration, and it is nice to be able to celebrate 90 years, trials and tribulations and good times and bad. But we sure do congratulate you on attaining 90 years, and are looking forward to the 100th birthday.
My Aunt Kay Benning lived to be 102, and I tell everybody I don't know if I can compete with that, but I'm going to try.
That's very good. Now, Aunt Alma, you haven't told us much about your early teen or late teen life and early womanhood. After you graduated from high school, what did you do then?
Well, there was very few jobs in Ottoville. So they have a nice, called it the dry goods store, which had a grocery on one part of the building and dry goods on the other. And I put my application in. My brother worked there. He'd worked there several years. Maybe he was a little help in getting me in, but I got a job there. So I did clerical work, waiting on customers. You took a customer all through the store and showed them the yard goods and made their selections, and you probably went upstairs and showed them the things to make comforters out of. You were all over the place in the basement, and you waited on all the different apartments. And their hours were, you got one day of the week off, but you work Saturday nights, and usually about 11 o'clock the boss would look out and, well, there's no more horses or buggies on the street, we might as well close, there won't be any more business, so it's payday. So we lined up at the cashier, and Mr. Miller would open the drawers and get out the money, and At that time, I was getting $12 a week. I'd gotten a raise. I'd started out with 10. So he would say, now, how much of this you want to put in the savings and loan? He was the director of the savings and loan. But it was a good start. It got you in the habit of saving something out of every payday. So in the 6 years I worked there, I'd saved $450, a lot of money. And that time I was 25 years old, and a friend of mine that went to school with me, she decided that she would like to come to the big city of Toledo. So we picked up our, you know, duds and moved. We came to Toledo. No, neither of us had a job, but she had a possibility of getting into something more than I did. We didn't go through all these things they do now have. They had employment agencies, but of course we would rather not spend the money for commissions for that. So this Leon called was her name, and so she went to see Mr. Mason from the Ernst & Ernst accounting firm that would take care of their books in Delphus. And he said, anytime you come to Toledo, just come and see me, and I'll see what I can do for you. So the first place we went when we got to Toledo was to see Mr. Mason on the 19th floor of the Toledo Trust building. So after she had interviewed him, I said, well, Mr. Mason, I'm interested in a bookkeeping job. If you hear of anything, I'd love to have you recommend me, if you will. And he said, just a minute. He said, I think on the 20th floor is the Elmer Miller Coal Company. He said, and you ask for Mr. Guyant and tell him I sent you up here, and tell him what experience you've had. So I went up and got Mr. Guyant and had a little conversation with him, and told him what I had been doing and all. And I hadn't gone to business school. I'd taken a commercial course in high school, but I liked bookkeeping. He said, well, we need a bookkeeper. And he said, I think that you probably fill the bill. And I said, so you can have the job. And I said, well, when do you want me to start? He said, take off your coat. So that was quite an easy way to get a job, and I stayed with him 14 years. And I've had this 6-year experience at home, 14 years there, and then I got married. And after I was married, I had a girlfriend. It was during the war, and you couldn't get industrial filter bags. You couldn't. There's no outlet for it, and so her boss said, why don't you get into that business, Margaret, and get in the material and get the equipment and the know-how to do these things. And she said, because you'll have a good business, which she proceeded to do. Well, I got on the ground floor with that, and we bought material, and we'd rip the things instead of cutting them or anything else. It's all from scratch. Well, I worked for her for about 20 years, but by the time we'd finished, she had all kinds of equipment, big cutters, and everything's automatic, and I had power machines to work on, and so when I was married, I did that for a long time. So I had 3 jobs in my life, and I wasn't the kind that changed, I guess, a little bit. Maybe that's the reason I didn't make a great deal of money, but I was happy doing this. So that's the way that went. And of course, when I got married and had the youngsters, I gave up my job, at the office, and went into the sewing, so I kept myself busy. And the girls say, well, I remember we had to learn to cook, and we had to learn to do things, because Mom had a soul. And they said to this day, it probably is a good thing for them to have that that job on their hands, their duties. So anyhow, my daughter Carolyn turned out to be a pretty good cook, and I don't know where she learned it or got there, because I didn't care much about cooking. But anyhow, something she had got from somebody in the family, maybe my mother.
And Alma, this house we're in Toledo here on Alvin Street, you built this, didn't you, when you got married or before you got married?
We had it built, yes. We looked around, and there were many empty lots that had been taken over the bank. Kind of the Depression, they'd taken over this property, and the lots were about $450. And we found a lot that we liked the location, it was convenient to everything, and so we found a builder, and he had nice plans, and he showed us a finished product, and we thought, well, that's what we want. So we ended up having made quite similar, a few adjustments, and I still have the bill for all the what it cost, and something ended up with less than $6,000, lot, house, and everything. And I've lived here for 50 years, and the house is very well built. and it held up good, and so I expect to probably make kind of a nice sum out when I sell it. Not very much, because the neighborhood really has deteriorated to the point where we're having, it's integrated, and students living around here. They're occupying these homes pretty much now from the Toledo youth in the neighborhood. So this house will probably end up with either a bunch of boys or girls living here that are students, but I won't know about that because I'll be gone.
Well, it certainly is a well-built home, and it has looked very nice all the years that I've known it, and that's about from the time it was first built. Well, we thank you, Auntie, for this.
She talked about the Depression.
Oh, one thing I didn't mention, that we went through the Depression. I could tell you a lot about that, because I had the job that I was at the Alma Miller Coal Company. I hadn't told this before, and so they said that they had to let us go. They just didn't have the finance to keep up. We'll have to keep a few on the skeleton force, but your salary will be half of what you're getting. So I was getting $50 a month then, and Leon and I had an apartment, and our rent was $30 a month. So I paid $15 for that. I had $35 to live on, and I walked to work every day, and it was several miles downtown. And I'd carry my lunch with us, and the girlfriend and I, we'd meet and go over to the Trinity Church, where they had a place you could buy coffee for a nickel a cup, but you had a place to sit down and eat your lunch. One day I'd probably take sandwiches, maybe the next day she would take it. So that's the way we got by with that. And I'd walk home in the evenings from work, and well, of course, the bank closure, that was something else. I had put all this hard-earned money in my several banks, so I wouldn't take chances on it, but they all closed, and you would only get a certain percentage of it ever so often when they got the accumulation enough they could pay you. And I think I ended up pretty well all paid up. There may have been a few, but anyhow, it wasn't what I had hoped for. But
did they pay interest on money at the banks at that time? Do you remember the rate? It would be quite
2%,
different.
I think, and that's what it was in Ottoville when I was putting in the savings and loan, was 2% dividend.
2%.
2%,
And you said you walked to work. How far was that?
Oh,
Here in Toledo?
way over a mile.
It was.
Oh, yes,
You walked out in the winter in the rain, and
Yes, we could take the bus, but it cost a nickel, I guess, and so I probably wore off more shoe leather than what I'd paid for the bus when I walked.
well, it gave you good exercise, and
Yeah,
that probably attributes to the long life.
I think so too. That probably all has something to do with it. Anyhow, I think that depression has made a lasting impression on you. I think you can tell by everybody that went through it almost, or watched, still kind of penny pinchers, I think, and the young folks can't understand why we, save wrapping paper and all the stuff that we were brought up with, but it's just a natural tendency, and it's hard to get away from that. You're just brought up that way, and you feel guilty if you don't do it, and I still am plagued with it, I guess you'd call.
That's right. We certainly have enjoyed all this information, and I know there are many, many events in your life that you'll recall someday, but we appreciate you telling us these, and we have recorded now for future generations to view. We hope to save this tape and pass it down from family to family so that they can look back and they can say, that was my great-great-great-grandmother, Aunt Alma. Not Aunt Alma, but
Yeah.
Alma Bender. Thank you again. Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Now go?
Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. Hi there.
Does that for all our parties at work and everything
Oh,
too. She
nice.
does a really good
Yeah.
job.
It's really little, yeah.
She doesn't do them like that at
Oh,
work,
she
though.
doesn't?
That's nice.
I had a lot of fun. I stopped over here.
But we're all
Did
gone.
you?
You were gone.
Oh,
So I
so
said,
early,
well, I'm
huh?
ready to... Oh, golly. Well, it's no good just to stand here. You need action.
Hey.
Just
Why
gotta
don't
be
you
in
take
here.
some pictures here?
Yeah.
Why don't you just put some water under it, and then the dip is supposed to go in this middle thing, I guess. You know what might work? Can I get one of those?
Debbie wants to
Sure,
get through
just
here.
put the dip in that so it's elevated.
Turn around, Debbie.
Thanks.
Smile pretty for me.
You can't see me anywhere.
She's lost the
elevating
tongue,
anything.
huh?
I don't think you need to, do you? Just, we'll put it in there and be done with it. Do you have something? Yeah.
Busy fingers, getting ready for the big deal.
Somebody else is not in.
Been 50 years going between times. What you got?
Say something brilliant, Sam. You said you were smart. The smartest thing you could be is say I'm his brother.
Hall is right. Well, when they have reunions, they have it in the park. They go to a park, they have to most of it. Oh, they have the real reunions. I mean, they'll roast the whole pig or else the whole...
Really? Brian's not here. Yeah, I think you've met him though.
There, as far as I can go. That's real
just
close.
really great.
Well, somebody, you want me to serve it too? You tell me which size piece you want. You like a lot of frosting?
Mom. Oh.
Goodness, what's that?
That's all there's to it, huh?
Yep.
It's so tight. Too bad you can't see my dear grandmother with love and admiration. God bless you, much love all the Beth and Brian.
And that plan is from us too outside, so don't forget to take it home. Okay?
I've got a hanging plant for her with nobody always gets nice hanging plants. I got them.
New Guinea and Patience,
Guinea
that's
and
what it is.
Patience that I get to take home
Oh.
from Beth. Oh, we pass that around.
Oh, those are beautiful. She had one of them.
There's a number for you to open.
Here we go, Chris.
I'll take this off and then you can It's so pretty. Could you open it real carefully? So we don't tear the seeds.
It's her jogging suit. She gonna run it? Yep.
Every time we stop to see her, she's always I am too. I am too when I get home from work. Oh, isn't that a pretty one? Oh, is that a pretty one?
You come down, you stay me and
Hey, Jerry, you behave now, and I'll talk to you when you get back.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now that's
Okay, maybe we'll
You could whip one of those up in there.
Yeah.
Carol?
Card I can get for just about anything like that.
Carolyn.
No problem. Yeah, all right. It's not that much work, sign your name.
I'd like
Marie. There. Two Marie. I said two Marie. There you go.
Are you through? Teeny.
Words of wisdom.
Well, let's see.
You got any tips or anything?
Yeah, save your money.
Stay out of bars?
Stay out of bars.
And save your money?
You save your money.
Okay.
And right now I'm busted, disgusted, and can't get...
It's always kind of good to get like a
Yeah, I figured.
cauliflower, celery or whatever.
You want that? Cover the celery?
Alma, we're going to take off now.
You're gonna leave us?
We're going to leave, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you came. I couldn't visit much today, but we'll get together.
Yeah, okay.
When-
Okay.
I'm gonna back you real close.
Okay, should I introduce myself?
Oh yeah, heck yeah. Say this.
I am the celebrity's grandson. Alma Bender is my grandma. Her daughter Carolyn is my mother. And we had this great party here today. And I was a latecomer. And I'm here now, and I'm appearing on the videotape. And we're all going to be surprised what this looks like when we go to play.
Okay. I am granddaughter of Alma Bender. My mom was Carolyn, or is Carolyn, and this is my husband Brian. And we got married last June, and I just feel it a great pleasure to have a grandma like Grandma Bender. She's such a warm and loving person, and I feel very lucky to be adopted into this family because they are such a warm family, and I know Brian feels the same way being in this family. And I'm so happy we've had her around for 90 years to everyone, but 20 years to me, and we hope she makes it to her 100th and then some too. So we know she's gonna make it like great Aunt Kate will.
I'd like to wish you a happy birthday, Grandma. I haven't known you very long, 5 years, but I really love you a lot. Just glad that I could be here for the short time I am. I had to work today, but I made it. Feel a little better now. Just got done eating, so I feel really good.
Oh, I didn't plan on that. That's okay.
We're here at Grandma's 90th birthday party. Happy birthday, Grandma. I'll give her one for you.
Mr. Kennedy always got. He talked up to me into making popcorn.
She was just
Say hi.
Here,
Chris, you got a puke going down your
tell him,
shirt.
Chris. Whoops. Tell Chuck whose birthday it is. Whoops.
Too late. He keeps disappearing in the picture.
Whose birthday is it, sweetie?
Hers.
Hers. How old is she? 90.
One.
One?
Oh, no,
It'd be the year 1901.
Is that Grandma?
It's your great grandma.
No, it's my papa.
Child.
You're all right.
But she has two great
90.
grandpuppies.
Great, yeah.
Great grandpuppies. Bailey.
Ours
Bailey
is
who's black.
retarded.
Well, they're both retarded. Bailey, who's black. I bet you never thought you'd have a biracial great grandpuppy.
Ours is brown.
I'm so sick of you.
He's retarded. It walked in the wall.
Introduce him.
This is Christopher.
This is my little boy,
Say
Christopher.
hi.
Hi.
No, you have to say hi to Chuck. Say hi, Chuck.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Christopher.
Yeah.
When's your birthday? Tell them when your birthday is.
May 12.
No.
May when?
May 12, I said.
What is it, though?
May 8.
Very
We're just can't feel lucky.
believe Mickey Mouse. We got to
Wait,
see Mickey
wait.
Mouse. No, he, my then lived together.
But that's what
75th birthday.
Look at, where's Debbie? There was a picture of her.
strictly a pleasure.
Any words of wisdom?
Yes, a little. Okay.
Steve.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at the pictures of you.
Yeah, Alma.
You had the
Any words of wisdom after 90 years? Any words of wisdom? Sit still.
So cute.
I thought you were happy.
What happened?
Any words of, you got words of wisdom for us? After 90 years, you got some words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom.
Buy low.
Like,
Stop it for a minute, let me think.
like stay out of bars?
I'll give you some advice that Brian gave me. Buy low, sell high, and marry bread.
Ah.
No, I'm sorry, I can't say that because I didn't follow that at all, but I don't know that I gained too much wisdom. I guess that I can impart everybody's a little wiser than I am these days.
Well, she did a heck of a job on that interview.